Hey everyone, this is John here from Hot Take Hockey, and I'm joined by Jacob, big Panthers fan. I know you're very active on Twitter. You got yourself a podcast as well. So Panthers Lightning, I mean, we got the Battle of Florida finally. We've never seen it in the National Hockey League. So I want to hear from you as a Panthers fan. I'm definitely interested in your perspective. Obviously, they got knocked out early in the play-in round last year. What are you expecting from this Panthers team this year? And obviously matching up against the reigning Cup champs, how do you feel about the matchup?
Yeah, this is obviously a much different Florida Panthers team than we saw in the play-in round against the Islanders last year. That was just the leftover of Dale Talon's reign as general manager. Get him out of the picture, bring in Bill Zito, who did a total overhaul of this roster. I believe the number is like 11 new players in the starting lineup, something like that. And it's just been so much better of a season than we could have ever expected. I had them pegged to finish third, but I thought it would be kind of a distant third, with Carolina and Tampa battling it out for first, and the Panthers just taking on the loser of that battle. I did not think they would be competing for first all season and wind up second ahead of the Tampa Bay Lightning. This is going to be a really fun series. The I-75, Battle for I-75, Alligator Alley Showdown, Sunshine State Showdown, whatever you want to call it. Like you said, first time these two teams have met up in the postseason ever in the history of the franchises. Reigning Cup champs, man, it's been a very interesting season for Tampa, though, right? I mean, they spend the entire season without Nikita Kucherov, their best player, and still manage to battle for the division, end up third. But you got Andrei Vasilevsky, who had an easy runaway Vezina first half, and then really started to tire himself out a little towards the end there. You could kind of tell he was getting gassed. His save percentage was coming down. His goals saved above expected was starting to fall a little bit. Well, or rather not rise as quickly as it had been. Then you also lose Stamkos and Hedman for parts of the season. Panthers took the season series, which was very nice to see. I believe it's the first time the Panthers have won the season series against the Lightning in the history of their franchises. 8 games they played against each other, and the Panthers won more than the Lightning. So that's very nice. It's going to be really tricky to kind of predict how this series is going to go. I feel so good about this Panthers team going in based on what we saw from the regular season. But at the same time, it was reported this morning that Kucherov, Stamkos, and Hedman are all working with the Bolts top power play unit now. So we're expecting a fully healthy Lightning team in competition. So look, as much as I want to predict that the season series is going to be a good barometer for how this playoff series is going to go, the team that the Panthers are facing in the playoffs is going to be a lot more like the Cup champ team than the team that they saw for the last 56 games.
Yeah, I completely agree with you. And I'll just say, I think based on what I've seen over maybe the recent years of the NHL or just even the past, we've seen rivalries early on or a rivalry matchup in the playoffs really spark whichever teams comes out of it to go for a run.
I have a lot of faith in Chris Driedger personally. It looks like Sergei Bobrovsky is going to get the start in game 1, which you kind of have to expect that. Like you said, last time Sergei Bobrovsky faced the Tampa Bay Lightning in a playoff series, Sergei Bobrovsky won that series. The Blue Jackets did not win that series. Sergei Bobrovsky won that series. It just happened that he was in the Jackets net. So you've got to give him that look, but I think he's going to be on a pretty short leash. As for Chris Driedger, I mean, he's just been unreal this season. You want to talk about a storyline? This no name who worked his way up from, I believe he was in the ECHL for last season, came up through the AHL, ended up in the NHL last season. Now all of a sudden he's pretty much getting starting minutes in net, minus a little injury he had last month, which led to some very nice time for Spencer Knight, who also looked fantastic. Granted, he has a grand total of 3 NHL games under his belt now. So there's not a whole lot of sustainable data sets to go on for Spencer Knight, but he will be on the playoff roster. I think that if the Panthers go far in this postseason, Chris Driedger ends up with the most minutes of the 3 of them.
Panthers versus Lightning, especially up front, because both teams, I mean, we've seen it this year in at least some games, there's been scoring. So I guess for you, how do you see the matchup? Are you confident? I know you kind of talked about it at the start, and you don't necessarily have to give a prediction for the series, but if you want, you can, and just how you see it going down in that sense.
Yeah, I just want to hit on one other thing you said with Barkov and Huberdeau. I mean, like you said, they've spent some time apart. This is actually, I think, this might be the first season at least in Barkov's career, because Huberdeau was here for a year beforehand, but at least in Barkov's career, this might be the first season that the two of them have spent more time apart than together. I'm looking at it on Natural Stat Trick right now. At least at 5-on-5, they played 88 minutes together compared to 612 minutes apart.
Wow.
Which is unheard of for the two of them. I mean,
exactly.
It was Barkov and Huberdeau for years and years. But all of a sudden, I mean, you bring in Verhaeghe, you bring in Duclair, you have Mason Marchment as a return for Dennis Malgin in a trade last year. And I can't believe I just included Marchment there, but he played with Barkov this year after Carter Verhaeghe went down. I mean, and he was doing well enough. I mean,
scoring.
He wasn't detrimental. Yeah, right. Yeah. Like, it was nuts that Marchment was able to fill in there, but the Panthers have never really had the depth to justify separating Barkov and Huberdeau. You never really had anyone who, like, you could bring up to Barkov's line and he could just play Huberdeau's part. And you never had a center that you could pair Huberdeau with aside from Barkov and let Huberdeau just feed him pucks. For Tampa, I think your X factor is Nikita Kucherov going to make a full return to form, or are you getting like 70-80% Nikita Kucherov, which in fairness, still terrifying. But there's a big difference between full power Nikita Kucherov and still a little hurt Nikita Kucherov. Stamkos, I've become less scared of Stamkos. He's obviously a power play threat, but refs tend to swallow their whistles a little bit during the playoffs. So I don't know.
Well, that's why I mentioned the guys that can get under your skin on the Panthers,
right,
a little bit of physicality, right? And I'm just thinking of the Lightning. Like, on paper, they're all there, but what Kucherov are we getting? Hedman, he's expected to get surgery right after the playoffs, so that's another question mark. McDonough hasn't been healthy, and then obviously Stamkos, the question mark's there. So it's like you look at those four players right there that I just mentioned. Those are four, like you could argue those are outside of Braden Point as well, but those are like the four
and
of the six. Vasilevsky, 4 of the 6 most important Lightning. So my point in that is we don't know what kind of players they're going to be these playoffs. Exactly. So that's where if the Panthers can, I don't know, get them off their game a little bit. Capitalize a bit. So I think that's my perspective. So I guess, for you, what's your mindset on that? And is it a 7-game series we're getting the Battle of Florida here?
Part of me hopes so, because these two, when they match up against each other, it's been so much fun this season. So part of me hopes we get a 7-game series out of this, but I'd also just like to deal with Tampa as quickly as possible if Florida is going to move on. I don't want to go up against the winner of Carolina and Nashville with a broken, battered, and bruised team that just fought against the reigning Cup champs for 7 games. Because that doesn't give me a lot of confidence that they can make it out of the division. But no, depending on Nikita Kucherov, like that's the big thing in my head is I really don't know what Nikita Kucherov shows up here. If Kucherov is not fully healthy and the Panthers can do like a decent job containing him in particular, then I think you get something pretty similar to what we got during the season series, which went to the Panthers. If we get a less than healthy Nikita Kucherov, especially if Sergei Bobrovsky is really on his game, I'm going Panthers in either 5 or 6. I really think that the Panthers take this one.
I like the hot take.
In honor of your show.
There you go.
But there are a lot of statistics that the Panthers had the edge over the Lightning during the regular season. Lightning had the edge in shot attempts. Panthers had the edge in unblocked shot attempts. Panthers had the edge in total goals at 5-on-5. Panthers had the edge in expected goals. I mean, the Panthers really outplayed the Lightning during the season. So if the Panthers can keep doing what they did during the season, I'm confident that they can make it out of this series. And if Kucherov is not up to snuff all the way up there, I think the Panthers can get out of this pretty quickly. I don't think it'll be a sweep unless Bobrovsky's really, really on his game. But I mean, look, Chris Driedger shut the Lightning out in the final game of the regular season. So
that's the big thing. If the Panthers can get one of their goaltenders, like we know Bobrovsky can do, like he's done it in the past, and Driedger's had an insane year, especially against the Lightning. So you have two potential gems here, and Bobrovsky during the season has just not been it consistently, but Driedger has. But Bobrovsky has the proof in the pudding with the playoff experience. So if you're a Panthers fan, you're just hoping one of those guys at least get close to the level of Vasilevsky, and then the rest of the roster can take care of their own responsibilities. So you're saying
the other thing, like Vasi's gassed, man. Like he's tired.
Yeah, so, he played. Isn't he up there for?
He's not really a threat either.
Yeah, I was gonna say, isn't Vasilevsky up there for top 3, top 5 most games played for goalies? I think he's up there, right?
He's gotta be. Yeah, he's second among NHL goalies in TOI behind only Connor Hellebuck.
There you go. Yeah.
Hellie's played.
Hellebuck's the obvious
25-42. Vasilevsky's played 25-23.
So right there.
Bennington's below that with 23-87. So like the gap between Vasilevsky and the next most tired goalie, I'll say, is pretty significant. Whereas the gap between the top two, less so, and Vasi is one of those two. He is tired. And we've seen that we saw that over the last 2 games of the season of the Panthers and Lightning. Those last 2 Panthers Lightning games were not the same Andrei Vasilevsky as the first few. So that's a big thing here too, is if Vasilevsky doesn't have enough time to get back on his feet between the last game earlier this week and the start of the playoffs on Sunday, I'm real confident that the Panthers can get out of this.
Hey everyone, I'm here with the legend, Austin Cybulski, big Tampa Bay Lightning fan, and of course, we finally get the Battle of Florida. Ooh, I'm excited for this one. I think I'll say this right off the bat, and I think Cybulski would agree with me. I mean, I'll intro him here in a sec, but I think this will probably bring a lot of exposure to hockey for Florida and down south, and I think it's going to get that competitive vibe going between the Panthers and Lightning, because while it's been a rivalry, I don't really think it's been to the extent of like getting physical, fans getting mad at each other. We're seeing it on Twitter. So I think it's going to help a lot. But Cybulski, Panthers, Lightning, 2nd seed versus 3rd seed. When you saw it, what were your thoughts, and how do you think the Lightning can do in this series?
Well, thank you for the introduction, John. And yeah, it's like crazy how these two teams have been around for over 2 decades, but they've never once played against each other in the playoffs. Everything is clicking right now for Florida, and the Lightning definitely have to make sure that they have, that they're ready for game 1, because Florida Panthers are going to be all over them in game 1. They're going to be coming ablazing.
Do you have a certain expectation for Kucherov, or is that just a huge question mark for you? And how do you think the Lightning can manage with all these injury question marks? And do you think certain players step up? Because we have seen a couple players, whether it's Colton or like Smith, or a couple of guys step in the lineup that have played well, right?
Yeah, well, when you think about it, we don't know some of the players if they'll be ready for game 1. Maybe they'll miss 1 game and be ready for game 2, but that we don't know. The only person we know that's not coming back anytime soon is Gaudreau, so that's out of the question. The players that we still don't know is Hedman, McDonough, and Palat. Maroon's going to come back no matter what. He's going to be on one of the 12 or 13 if they decide to go with 7th defenseman. Maroon's for sure going to be on the team. Like, he's definitely on that 4th line. He was just, suspended obviously in that final game. When it comes to Kucherov and Stamkos, because it obviously is potential that Stamkos will be ready for game 1.
So I guess to kind of close it out, how do you see this series going down? Are there some aspects of the Panthers that scare you? Maybe up front. I mean, I'm looking at the duo of Barkov and Huberdeau. And then do you have maybe a prediction for us?
Yeah, I mean, obviously to all the fans that are watching this video, you know that I'm a Lightning fan, but I'm doing my best just like John does, because he's not just the Leafs fan. He is like an overall fan of the entire NHL organization as well as I am. I love hockey in general, not just my team. So do I think the Lightning can win this series? Oh, yes. I definitely think they can win this series. But whether or not that they had this 3-game losing streak, just to quickly touch on that, even if they didn't have this 3-game losing streak, I still think this series is going to go 7 games. This is the Battle of Florida. This is the Sunshine State rivalry. So many games over the time that I've watched the Lightning, in my time of watching the Lightning for the last 7-8 years, there have been so many games where they're either low-scoring goalie battles, 2-1, 1-0, 3-2, and then you'll have a lot of games where it's just the offense, offensive frenzy, where there's 5-4 overtime or 6-5. I mean, the Lightning have had games where they were down 3-0 and came back to win the game 4-3. So I definitely see the series going 7 games, maybe 6 at the minimum. I'm even going to say minimum. I'd be shocked if the Lightning or even the Panthers won the series in 5 games, because I don't see Lightning backing down. Even if they were down 1 game or 2 games, I would be a little concerned. But at the same time, I don't see them like just losing it and just like completely falling apart. And with the Lightning, I see it taking 6 or 7 games, because Florida is going to give them an all-out war. You've seen these last 2 games, the tension, the animosity, like the blood, like the rage, and like the anger. These 2 teams hate each other, and for good reason. You've got stingy, animated, guys that will instigate, like Hornquist. You've got your top goal scorers and Barkov, Huberdeau, and there are other goalies that.
And Florida Panthers star Sam Bennett.
I mean, and it's like, we could joke about that, but at the same time,
he's been unreal.
Yeah, like how I say, like Ross Colton was like, I guess, a breath of fresh air, even though he's a brand new player.
Let's just say Sam Bennett wasn't liking the Calgary Flames too much.
I think we can honestly say that something he wasn't liking, because all of a sudden he's just turned on the light switch, and like he's been the Panthers' breath of fresh air. I mean, if you want to go with that,
All right, so give us the pick. The Panthers Lightning fans, bro, don't worry about being biased. Give us the pick on what you think.
I'll just say to the Lightning fans, don't get upset, but I wouldn't be surprised if the Panthers won this series. Is what I'm saying.
Oh,
I'm just saying, like I'm predicting the Lightning to win this series.
You're picking Panthers?
No, I'm not. No, I'm just saying like I don't want to sound like, oh my God, we lost to the Panthers. That doesn't make sense. Like they're a completely different team. I mean, help me add to
and Cybulski, not to rub some salt in the wound. The Lightning ended up winning the cup, so we can joke about it now. But who was in net when the Lightning got swept by Columbus?
Bobrovsky, and he's obviously going to be starting. I mean, they have 2 good goalies. I mean,
Drieger could get games too, but Bobrovsky had Tampa's number that year. So.
Yeah, that just depends on like who they want to go with the hot goalie, and if the goalie struggles in game 1. That they maybe go with the other goalie.
See, I think game 1 they should go Bobrovsky based on that fact. And man, like there's no harm if Bobrovsky does poorly. Like you switch over to Drieger for game 2.
You have to watch out for Uyghur. He got a hat trick.
Uyghur's actually going off, man. He's like, I'm pretty sure he's like top 10 in points for defenseman, or top 15 now. Around there.
Go man.
He's been clutch. Yeah, he's been stepping up while Ekblad's been out. But your pick is Lightning in 7?
Yeah, Lightning in 7.
Thank you to Jacob and Austin Cybulski for coming on for the Panthers Lightning preview. I'm so excited for this matchup. So excited for the playoffs. Please subscribe, drop a like, leave a comment. Go hit up their links in the description, and we will see you for the next video or live stream. Peace.